as you know, it's the 25th anniversary of The World Is Not Enough, and I've done a little bit of research, got some really interesting stories. John has been very kind, given some pictures for me. I'm not sure if they've been seen before. Some of these pictures are really fantastic, so please don't take pictures of them because obviously they're John's property. We don't want to be doing that. But we've got some really good stories, some rare things to be told, and some good stories here. So we shall begin at the start. And I'm just curious, because this is the first original draft of the script, dated June 15th, 1998. And see my red laser here? James Bond comes shooting out of the smouldering blast hole strapped into the jetpack. So it wasn't originally a boat, it was supposed to be a jetpack that he chases down the Thames. So the first question to you guys, were you aware of this at the time?
I wasn't.
No.
No, I was in South Africa in another film.
John, how would have you, if you've had to put that onto screen, what would you have done to make that, as a special effects sort of department, what would you have done to make that happen?
I've probably gone to the bar. I don't know, it's the first time I've seen it, so there's all sorts of different ways. I don't.
No, I doubt that probably got to. Obviously, you probably weren't aware of that, Anthony, either, were you?
Well, I started 6 months before we shot, and I never saw that.
Yeah, so that's the first draft. I think there were 3 drafts because Dana Stevens come on and wrote the female parts for Electric in to beef them up a little bit. But yeah, no, I thought that was an interesting thing I would share. So, first picture here, this is the MI6 set which John and his crew were building. So this was the model where the explosion happened. Talk us about a bit of this, John. How long did this take to construct, and how about did you do it?
Well, it took quite a while to make the. Again, it was, as Brian said earlier, the great construction crews that we had, because that was more of a construction set than a model, as you can see by the size. And I think there's a picture in a minute with a few of the boys standing on it.
Yeah.
And it had to be that big because of what had to happen. The speedboat coming out of the hole and the explosion. If we'd made it any smaller, it'd have looked like a model. But great set, and we had a lot of good sets on that movie.
Yeah. Was that up Pinewood you constructed?
Yeah, the back lot.
And then this is a few more. There's a few of you there.
There you go. See,
and then you got the
scale.
explosion. So how about did you do the explosion?
It was just a bit of primer cord and a few charges and cork wall and mortar pots inside. Usual stuff.
Yeah. Was there any depth to the back, or was it just front facing and then just a ladder or something?
It was just the face of the building. The fun thing was we had to get a lot of pictures of it, of the real building to match.
Yeah.
So we used to troll up and down the River Thames in a boat, taking pictures of the river MI5, and I think we had to get special permission for that, didn't we?
I got permission, yeah. I got into MI6 too.
Yeah.
Wow, fantastic. Was there any interference from the actual real Secret Service at all?
No.
We went. I contacted MI6 and told them who we were, and I got invited, and I had to leave my phone, and I was searched at the gate and everything, and I don't know who I met with, but I met with someone, told them what we wanted to do, and I said we were going to blow a hole in MI6 and that sort of thing, and they were okay. And did I take you back? I can't remember. I think I took Peter Lamont back, and we explained what we've got to do, and they got quite interested. And of course, we eventually finished up on great terms with them, and showed the picture in there twice at the end of the movie and that sort of stuff. I even took in Desmond Owen and what's her name? Moneypenny. Samantha Bond. So she went down well.
So was the interior, what we see on the film, which we're going to see a clip of in a minute, was the interior similar to what they've got, or was that just completely...
The interior of MI6, all I saw was a big long corridor with doors off, just a number one, and you were taken to a door. But we did get invited into, we had a lunch in there, and I took in Michael Wilson, Jane Wilson, his wife, my wife, Barbara Broccoli, Samantha Bond, and maybe Peter Lamont, I can't remember. And we had a lunch in the dining room, which is on the top, but it overlooks the river. And you sit in the dining room and you can see up and down the river both ways. It's a great location. And Samantha got a bit pissed, observation.
There's a running theme going on here.
Some of the language was very right. And we don't know who, but we think M might have been one of the guys in there.
All right.
Because in those days you didn't know who it was. Nowadays you do know.
Not so Secret Service. Exactly. So what we're going to do, we're just going to see a clip. It's a great pose there of Brosnan. So we're just going to see a clip of all the hard work coming together. That's come out really well on camera there. Well, how much did you do the boat bit? Was the boat? What was it? A model? Was it the actual boat?
It was a model boat.
Yeah.
And we fired it out with a compressed air cannon.
Oh right, okay. Was that at the slipway near MI6 or was that at Pinewood?
It was actually on the model.
Oh right, yeah.
The boat coming out of.
Yeah.
And
So that looks so good how it's coming out. Yeah.
Stop! You didn't finish! Stop!
Yeah. And there's a boat coming out. Yeah, absolutely terrific. Yeah, well done. So this is a picture that obviously both Terrys would probably recognise quite a bit. It's Festival Pier. Yeah, where you were obviously, that was where you would obviously, before you were to go out, that was your base, wasn't it?
Yep.
And we've got a scene coming up that we're just going to talk. We'll play the scene and then talk us through how you went about doing this bit. This is the stunt where Sarah Donahue just trashes the pontoon or whatever it was, the platform. Yeah, this was. It's a fantastic stunt, pulled off really well. So just talk us through that, Terry. What was the day like filming that sequence?
That was a multi-camera setup, obviously. Sarah, all the platforms being prepared, prepped, breakaways, etc., etc. And basically, it was Sarah coming in and doing her best job, hitting it and driving off. And if everybody looks up to the top left-hand corner, has everybody noticed the crane before? Yeah? Unbelievable.
So there in the top, the POA diver unit there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she got on screen somehow.
Yeah.
Well, that's terrific. Was there any explosion? Because obviously, was that an explosion where the windows smashed, or was that natural?
I don't know. I wasn't
I think
involved
that was,
in this
I think
stuff.
it was all breakaway with once she hit the platform. The door just fell apart.
That's brilliant. Did you construct that platform as well?
Yeah, I think we built on a existing
One, yeah.
platform.
Well, we did bust a couple of real ones, but by mistake as well.
And do you remember that soppy Welsh minister trying to stop us? They said we were making so much noise going up and down the Thames, we were keeping the politicians away.
Well,
But he mentioned it in the house, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, what we actually mentioned
that's
in the
right.
house.
We had, because we only could shoot that river sequence at high tide. Everything was shot at high tide because the tide at the Thames there drops, 17 feet or something?
It's pretty high.
It's quite a drop.
Yeah.
So very often we were shooting with the House of Commons was sitting. The boats are making so much noise, we've got a complaint. And one of the guys
Yeah, it was
he
the Welsh
came up in
minister.
the house, didn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah,
he's
complained about the noise.
But then I think he ended up getting arrested for doing something naughty on Clapham Common.
But he wasn't making much noise.
Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to progress the boat chase sequence to Wapping, which is one of the favourite parts of the whole sequence. That's Wade Eastwood there, coming down.
Is this
The-
the disc 1 version or the disc 2 version?
No,
Disc one, yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, so obviously Wade Eastwood coming down there. What are your memories of Wapping? I know you've got a good story, Terry, about the
It's a whopping story about
traffic wardens.
Oh, the traffic wardens.
Yeah, he was famous, wasn't he?
Yeah, at the time there was a TV program called The Clampers. I don't know if you remember it. And we were talking about it one day, and somebody said, "Hey, why don't we get those clampers to come in and we'll have them on the clamp in the car, and the boat comes up and hits them." So I said, "Fine, okay, all right." So we made phone calls, and they said, "Yeah, we'd love to come and do it. Great, lovely." And anyway, they turned up, and my second came to me and said, "We got a problem." I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "He's got no beard." What do you mean he's got no beard? He shaved it off because he gets so much abuse on the streets, he shaved it off. Now, I needed him in a couple of hours. I said, Christ. I mean, it just throws the gag out the window. So I said, right, put him into a car and we'll send him down to Week Creations in London. So we got him, stuck him in a car, sent him down to Week Creations, and lo and behold, they found this goatee beard and they stuck it on him and sent him back to us in time. And we got him and we said, now, stand there and the boat's just going to go up. And go, you're not going to get really wet. It's just a little splash. They went, all right, fine, okay. And he had this this tune. What was it? As he gave out a ticket, it was another one hits the dust. And so he was there giving out the ticket, giving it his best, and the boat comes up. And Wade Eastwood, as you said, was driving the boat. And Wade, having done a few rehearsal practice, they thought, oh, that's all it is. Then Wade came up with the boat and he gave it the skid. And as he did, that plume of water came up. And I think you can see in their faces, they were not expecting it. The shock wave went right through them. Anyway, they weren't long leaving and they got dressed and went away.
Oh, that's brilliant. Did Wade do that as like a joke, or was it on purpose, or was he just trying to get a good shot? Yeah, absolutely. No. I don't know him, so it's fine. The traffic wardens don't bother me. But yeah, it's Anthony. Was there a particular reason why Wapping was chosen?
Well, it was a matter of where we could shoot, really, because with the speedboat at those speeds, the wave, you had to be careful where you shot, because where the wave that followed it, the bow wave and all that sort of stuff, it could do damage. So we had to be careful.
the speed limit 6 knots, isn't it?
It was something like that, yeah. And a lot of the areas are not navigable for speed either, so you were quite limited. And obviously you chose ones which suited the shot that you wanted to do.
It's a great choice because it works really well with the
We
sequence.
had a hell of to get permission to do that whole sequence, you start with MI6, the Port of London authorities, the River authorities, House of Commons, and then to get onto the dome at the end, it was quite a
And
long.
also, I think the other reason we liked that because it was a great transition into the next part, which we've shot in Chatham.
Yeah.
So as you went up the ramp there, and we had a red bus pass, that then could be the same white when we shot. In
That's
Chatham.
correct. Yeah. Do you have any memories from filming?
No, I thought Joe was just a production manager, so I was tending to be locked away somewhere signing timesheets and making sure the lunches were being arranged. I missed all the fun.
Yeah. So what I've actually got now, guys, and this might be a blast from the past, I've got a clip of the actual filming that you did. So this is the actual. I've shortened it 'cause it goes on for quite a bit. So this is a 2-minute segment of when Wade Eastwood jumps over the bumps, and then after that he soaks the Waldens. He does one practice and then he absolutely soaks them. So this is the actual footage. You got a great shot coming up of Vic Armstrong, Gary Powell, having a bit of lunch.
I'll go and see if it's dry.
I provided the food for that.
There's Waye doing his thing. And it was all shot in different segments, so you would do one bit and then you would go and shoot the next bit. And this is the practice run for the traffic wardens. I bet they saw that and thought, oh, this is alright. And this is the real one coming up. I think Gary Powell there laughing his head off is brilliant. But yeah, absolutely terrific stuff. So we're not going to spend too long on the boat chase, but we'll see the actual real thing in action now, the whole clip. And this is the bit you was mentioning, Terry, as well. This is a great stunt, this bit, how it comes out the top. No, I've got footage of that, but we're not going to show it because we are running out of time. But that was actually a dummy, wasn't it? That was shot out, and then there was all barrels, water barrels, the other side. And if you ever go to the location, which isn't really far, it's a really good location. There isn't a lot of room to work with there. She did very well to try and stop the boat going any further. So yeah, really impressive sequence and excellent work. Probably my favourite sequence out of any Bond films is the boat chase. I think it's probably the best that we filmed in London, so hats off to you.
If you get the special DVD.
Yeah, you know, yeah, this is it.
6 weeks? I think it was 6 weeks, at least 6. It
Yeah.
might have been 7 weeks.
Yeah, it was a long time.
It was a long time filming, yeah.
Working till high tide.
Yeah.
Was the problem.
And in it,
we had technical problems, obviously, with the boats as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Sunsea had to keep going back to get fixed every night, didn't it?
and obviously you had different weathers as well over the period of time, because some bits are dull and then some bits are a little bit.
In the finished cut, you can see that. The
Yeah.
aerial footage, it's sunshine, and you cut down, it's dull weather.
Yeah.
But
What would you say was the most challenging part of filming the whole sequence?
One of the things we had to do, or you had to do, was search the river every morning or every time there was no debris there, because lots of you can get tree trunks floating down. So we hit one of those in the boat at speed is quite dangerous. Yeah. So that was had to do searches, didn't you?
We did that happen every morning.
Yeah.
I can't think the most. Every shot you did on a Bond is important, and everything has got to be right. So there's challenging shots. They're all pretty much challenging. Actually, they've got to be right, and everybody's got to be safe. Are you going to go all the way through it?
I will click on this bit because this is.
I don't think we're going to get as much time as Moonraker.
No. Well, yeah, you are. So this is actually a bit of footage, and what's impressive about this part here was that the Millennium Dome wasn't actually a working thing. It was still being constructed. So some of the bits you had to do, they had to make it look like it was going to be how it would look afterwards. You have to get special permission. Now this stunt in particular, the part where the boat just jumps over and then you see Pierce jumping out of it, grabbing onto the rope. Well, that part took a lot of filming because you could only shoot for 5 minutes of that sequence because it's where the tide was at its lowest or whatever it was. And I've got the footage of that scene and you can see it.
This particular stunt is all gauged to be done at high tide. There's still a lot of chop on the water, and to get the stunt correct, Gary has to have a lot of speed, and then if you've got the bounce on the boat, you can be deviating left to right, and as you can see, it's quite a narrow ramp behind me built into this broken Sunseeker, And if he did happen to miss it, A, it could flip him over, or he could just barrel straight into this seawall, which is, you know, total granite.
Timing is critical. High tide gives the unit a window of less than 5 minutes to do the stunt, when the water is at its most still. Miss it, and they'll have to wait until tomorrow.
Wandsworth, go ahead.
Yeah, that's close now, Chris. It's been broadcast on 14.
All close, that's some license for everyone.
Right, lighting goes to standby. And turn over.
And as we go.
And this is the one that goes wrong.
Must do it again. Did everything go according to plan?
No.
What happened?
Basically, we couldn't get the speed we needed because of the chop on the water, and so we couldn't get the height that we needed. So we'll do it again tomorrow.
How many boats have you got to wreck?
Oh, we don't wreck any, but we've got 6.
Nobody does.
The jump, which lasts less than 5 seconds on screen, took a total of 6 days to shoot. The chase itself is one of the most dramatic ever to feature in a Bond film, and after 7 weeks on the river and as many months in preparation, the first action sequence for The World Is Not Enough is in the can.
Thank you very much, everybody. That's a wrap.
We got it.
There we go, Terry.
That was a young me. What do you mean? I didn't change.
Yeah, terrific. Good job there. And obviously we don't see Terry, because obviously if we know Terry's, if you've seen the behind the scenes, the deleted scenes, Terry's got a part as a waiter, haven't you, in the restaurant?
I don't want to talk about it.
We won't talk about it.
I just to say, one of the sequences when I can't remember what the location was, when the wider area of water. Anyway, we had to get permission from the fisheries to do it.
Yeah, that was at the Victoria Docks, I think.
Victoria Docks was it, and because no fish were to be hurt in the making of the film, so they had to put down these sonar
Underwater
sound
speakers,
things,
yeah.
speakers into the water to keep the fish away from the areas that we were being shooting in. So I don't know if any fish were hurt, but that was one of the things we had to go through.
Yeah, that's probably why you got cut. You were serving it in the restaurant. But yeah, so so we're going to see a clip of that finish. So it all comes together in the final part of the boat chase. Yeah, terrific sequence there, brilliant. So we're going to talk about this, John, as well, the balloon. So what was your experiences working with this part of the film?
Well, we had to do this to blow it up in the end, and I seem to remember we were operating on Pinewood Back Lot, and we filled it up with hydrogen to get it to blow up nicely. And I think the first one we did, for some reason the hydrogen blew itself out, but there was enough left in it to take the residue of the balloon up and up and up. So much so that we had to ring London Airport and warn them that there's a half a balloon floating your way at about 3,000 feet. So we never did find out what happened to it.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? But yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so we're going to move on to Azerbaijan, and I wasn't really aware of this at the time, but Azerbaijan sequence where you see Pierce driving, not the close-ups of Pierce driving it, but the other shots, the long shots, were all models. That was a whole model set, wasn't it?
We did a lot of model stuff of pipeline, and that was one of the model sets. That was on the back lot, and the background is a photographic cutout. The hills are just earth piled up, and then a model in the foreground. We had lots of it. We even shot a water pipeline on the top of Mount Snowdon.
Wow.
To cut in. I mean, we did a recce up there in a helicopter, and showed it to Michael, who loved it, and said, well, go and shoot handheld out the helicopter, which we did. But all good fun.
It'd be a drone nowadays, wouldn't it, as well?
Yeah.
So I've contacted one of the people that made the BMW Z8 models, and that was Greg Morgan.
Greg, yeah.
And he's given us these pictures that haven't been seen before. So that was the BMW, that was just a model car. And it's such a fantastic design for that. Wouldn't even realise, would you, that was a... And there's a dummy sitting in it.
What was difficult about this, where we had to drive it through the set, was that we wanted to get the dust coming off the ground behind it. So it meant the car, to do that, had to go really, really fast. But we needed to overcrank to make the dust look the right speed and sound. So the car, I can't remember the exact speed it went through, but it went through there very, very fast. And I think we usually managed to stop it all right.
Yeah. And you had all these oil rigs and things like that dipping down and working in the background.
Yeah, that was all a model set.
Yeah, it's incredible, really. How long did that take to construct?
Oh, gosh. I mean, we were out there constructing all those sets for probably about 3 months.
How comes that was... So all of that effort for them 5 to 10 seconds of film, was there a particular reason for that, or...?
Yeah, it was the only way to do it, I think. We didn't want to take a car to Azerbaijan, did we? No.
I think Pierce took a car to do the close-ups, didn't he? To do, I think in Baku, or whether it was to do the close-ups of him driving in the car.
No, we didn't take the car out to Baku, did we?
No, I don't think so. That's why we
Whereabouts was that shot?
Doing all that.
So that was probably shot on the Pinewood then, maybe?
Yeah, it must have been done. Yeah, I can't remember we did that now. We took the Rolls Royce out to Baku.
Yeah, I don't remember. I was swanning it in the Bahamas at the time.
He's in the bar, wasn't he?
Yeah. So if you can have a look now, this is another one. There's kin helicopters as well, but they were used to chop the trees down, weren't they? In the actual film.
That's all model again.
It's incredible, really, to think that's all model. And there's a great picture here. Michael Apted, obviously John and Vic Armstrong. Here we go.
He was a West Ham supporter, Michael Apted. Very, very nice man.
And this is obviously Greg trying to work the model. And you directed this sequences for the models, didn't you? Yeah. So that is a screenshot from the film that I took. You can see the model there. And we're going to see the finished article. This is what appears in the film. This is all model work, apart from Pierce's close-ups. You think, look at that. That is absolutely incredible how all that's come out as a model. I never knew this all the time watching this film, that was a model. And there's the close-ups. Looks uncanny, doesn't it? And there's the old dust coming up on the back of the car. I think the helicopters are really impressive considering they were models as well.
You, go back.
Yeah, fantastic work. Well done. Amazing. So just a show of hands, before I've said that today, how many of you were aware that that was a model?
I never knew. Yeah. Only these chaps.
Only these chaps here, exactly. I was unaware, and I think definitely need more recognition for that sequence. So I wanted to make a point of saying that today because I thought that was absolutely amazing for the film. So I'm going to talk to Keith now about your role. This is one of your shots on location in Spain. So with the way you shoot your photography and things like that, is there a method, or is it just instinctively you look at a moment and you grab the camera and you're like, right, this is the shot I want? Or in your head, do you have a shot idea?
Basically, I spend all my time in the bar with John. No, I mean,
John,
I'm on the
sorry.
set every day, following what is going on. And one of the most important things is really getting close to the artists, but not disturbing them in any way. And in those days, we were shooting on film, and it wasn't the digital age that come in really. And we had to have blimps, so as we didn't make a noise. So really, it just had to be unobtrusive and just try and photograph everything that's going to be good for publicity and advertising for the movie later on.
Yeah.
And not get fired off the set or sent to the bar. Yeah.
To be fair, it didn't take a lot to go to the bar from what I've heard, so... and everyone ended up there. But that is a great shot of Sophie and Pierce. And there's so many I could show, because there were so many great pictures that Keith's done.
During the screen test, they were testing Sophie for the part. And there were a couple of other artists being tested. And Jeff Freeman and I had worked with Sophie quite a few times. And we were so keen for Sophie to get the role. We kept on walking behind Barbara, saying, Sophie, 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 Sophie.
She was lovely, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was such a lovely person.
Oh, she was
Still
terrific
is.
in that role.
She's fantastic.
For the only female Bond villain we've ever had, she pulled it off amazingly well.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic, and really, really great, talented actress there. Yeah, extremely. So we're going to go to Chamonix now, in the French Alps. And it was Mount Blanc, I think, where we was filming. So this is the shot, the end product. And we'll talk a bit more about this. That's a terrific shot then. David Arnold soundtrack, that was absolutely fantastic piece. It looks scenic, it looks very calm, but it wasn't. It was a very dangerous place to work, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, we had, as you say, we were talking earlier, a lot of avalanches. And how many people did we say?
33 people died during the time that we were
Yeah. So, and obviously, you know, we had weather condition problems, so we had to change our schedule, etc. But one of the, I mean, that was challenging. That was a challenging location. We were up in the mountains. We really did. We went up in the helicopters. Vic Guy and Jonathan Taylor went up in a helicopter to the top of the mountain one day. And the helicopter, he couldn't get, we were the first up, so he couldn't get us in close enough. Then all of a sudden, Vic just jumps out of the helicopter and he's on the ground. And Jonathan and I look at each other a bit. And so the helicopter pilot said, I'll take you further down, you can climb up. Sounded easy. So it took us down the helicopter and we jumped out and we had these snowshoes on and we had to walk all the way up. I laid down on the ground and said, Jonathan, I just want to die. I won't make it. I won't make it. Oh, come on, he said, come on, let's keep walking. So we keep walking, we go all the way up the top. And when we get there, Vickers prepared a huge helicopter landing pad, and all the unit are there. And we had to walk up. But it was a tough location.
And was there a situation where you had to end up planting more trees or anything like that? Did anything? Yeah.
I think we just stuck some trees in here and there.
Because obviously for the explosions, the Parahawks, things like that. Yeah.
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 Oh yeah.
But the other thing, of course, the crew are not supposed to go skiing on their day off. It's part of their
Yeah.
I've got quite a few photographs.
Yeah.
Incriminating evidence.
True stuff.
Oh, fantastic. So I've had someone reach out to me and give me a story about their time working on it. A person called Carlos Fidel was the assistant director.
Yeah, he was with
Yep.
me, yeah.
So he's recounted a few stories. He said, my most memorable moment working in Chamonix was when we was doing the ski sequence and all of the death and destruction that was surrounding us at the time. The historical town centre burned down one night and there was a horrific vehicle pile-up in the nearby Alps, and deadly local avalanches were frequent during our stay. We had mountain safety guides working with the film team who spent weeks digging out bodies of the avalanche as their day job. One morning, the town siren system notified the risk of avalanches, and we were scheduled to work in the mountain setting SFX explosions during the ski chase sequence. Myself and a few of the other crew were concerned about the potential riskiness of the work and approached the mountain guide with us to see if we should be concerned, maybe even pull the plug. Demoralised by it all, his response to us was, "If it's your time, it is your time." Needless to say, we did not think it was our time, but we trusted in our team leaders and we made it home safe. A couple of bits of interesting information. He said, being served hot drinks on the mountain by catering PAs on skis who had hot water rucksack packs. He said that was interesting. And
That was my idea. Yeah. That was my idea. Because it didn't work.
Backgates for a fish that he got from earlier.
yeah, and there was a downside to it too. I'm going to come on to that now. So, obviously, adding milk to coffees from a milk bowl was limited to 3 coffees at a time because the milk would freeze. Wow. So that was your limit.
And we got time. Do you remember that they were a bit arrogant, the skiers that we had doing it? And I said one of them wouldn't get off the dining bus to go round to ski round to give all the drinks out. I said, "You're working on a James Bond film. All these interesting people here." And he said, "I have met more interesting people queuing for my skis."
Was that your favourite moment of working up there?
What we did, so do you remember, because we had to go up in shifts, and I trained as an actor at Lambda, and I knew all about exercises and keeping people warm. So every morning I'd lead the crew down by the dining catering area into doing exercises, touching your toes and jumping up and down. And unfortunately, it ended when I was called to go into the dining bus to sort out some catering, and I slipped on the step to go in the dining bus, fell down and crushed my private parts on the next ledge, and was in agony for about 3 weeks. You never knew that, did you?
I do remember you falling.
Yeah, it was absolutely. Oh, the sausages! We've got to tell her that.
Oh, yeah, go on, tell us about the sausages.
No, he's going to tell us sausages.
Go on, Tony.
There was I was going out on a Friday evening with the financial controller to check up on them shooting. And we got a message from the production office that the catering had run out of sausages. And sausages were a favourite thing amongst the crew because they were easy to eat while you're working up there. So we were asked if we would take out some sausages. So we said, yeah, okay. And they brought up 4 cool boxes packed with sausages and ice cubes. Right? So we flew into Geneva, and the plane was full of business people, suits and what have you, and there we were. And we're waiting in the Geneva airport for our luggage, and I'm standing there talking to Andrew, and up on the carousel come the cases. And I suddenly see the icebox coming up, and I think, and I can't get there, and it goes down the chute, hits the barrier, the top comes off.
Oh no!
And all across the marble floor scattered were packs of sausages and ice cubes. And of course, by the time we suddenly realised the next one was coming. So we stopped the third one and the fourth one. So Andrew and I were scurrying around the floor picking up these packs of sausages, and everybody else. So by the time we got them cleared, we were the only ones left. So we piled everything up, went to customs, and there's 4 guys standing there, stern faces, and they say, you're not allowed to bring those in, it's raw meat. So we explained what they were for, so they had a little chat, and they said, well, if you pay a fee, and the fee was mighty, so we discussed it, we said, no, we can't afford that, so you can have the sausages, and we'll go. So we made to move off, and they said, well, and we got the sausages. Yeah, we got them in the end. No.
Brilliant, fantastic stuff.
Very good at picking up sausages.
There we go. So with setting off the SFX explosions on the mountains, obviously cause of avalanches, things like that, do you have to be very careful where to set it, or was there a certain time, or do you just...
I don't remember there being a certain time. We had our so-called avalanche experts with us, so we were guided by them as to what we could do, etc., etc. I don't remember a certain time that we had to do that.
And we sort of had weather cover sets too, didn't we? We would come down lower.
Yeah,
and work
yeah.
nearer the road. So
Yeah, if there was a
Trigger any avalanche.
not that we're aware of.
So we've got a really good shot here. And Anthony, you're in this picture as well. There, top left.
Right.
You've got, Michael G. Wilson, you've got Pierce, Sophie Marceau, Michael Apted, and the mayor was there as well that night. Somewhere. So there's you there.
Oh, this is in Azerbaijan, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
No, I think this is in France, I think. There's Keith as well. You're in the picture there, Keith. I don't know. I thought that was a really interesting one. Well, you got Pierce and Sophie in there, so you've done well to get in that one. It makes you change someone taking a picture of you, I guess. Bit surreal, that one. So, but yeah, I think that was in France. I think that was when you was doing probably the ski sequences up there, and then that one must have been sort of a producer's thing, or I don't know. Can't remember. It's a long time ago. I'll get the exact location. But Shaw's been very patient, so I think we'll move on to him. And obviously his moment of glory. You can't actually see him, which is a shame, because you should be able to see him. He's there. He's there. But obviously it's a bit dark there. Maybe we can hit the lights. Maybe I'll get the lights so we can see Sean. Otherwise, he'd been sitting here for nothing. Otherwise. Yeah, can we see him now? Oh, well, can't do much about that. Sorry, mate.
Stand on the table, mate.
There he is. There he is. He's lurking around. So this was his shot here. And we can see the actual... Oh, it's coming out clearer now. This is the actual footage.
Put them in here.
There we go. Look at that evil stare.
So that's probably 25 years ago. I've done 95 movies. I've now died in 90. I didn't die. I think I did die. This Pierce decided I was going to open a submarine door with my head. And Michael was still over, and the main unit was still over on the tank. And we were inside this kind of box they've made, interior submarine. And everyone's going, we've got to do this stunt. You're going, no, you've got to wait for the stunt team. I'm going, no, I can do it. He goes, no, we can't. Insurance, we've got to wait for the stunt team. Anyway, but Pierce thought, fuck it, let's do it. So we go on, bang! Head split open, blood everywhere. Should have waited for the stunt team. Yeah, so that was. When I started in film, I got stopped on the Portobello Road. Someone said, "You look really evil." I said, "Thanks for that." And the next day, I found myself on the set of The Mummy, shaved from head to foot, including my eyebrows, my legs, and my pubes, painted gold, wearing a nappy. And that's the first film I did. I think it was the third one. Very quick story about being nice on set. So, do you remember, obviously, Jeff Freeman?
Yeah.
And Jerry Gavigan, I think, was the first.
Yeah, Jerry was first.
And anyway, I started off as an extra on it, but I'm in the same corridor, there's some changing rooms as Pierce and everyone else. So there's a little kitchenette, and I've gone into the kitchenette and I've made myself a cup of tea in a china mug. And there was a stroppy runner or a third one, I can't remember his name, and I won't mention his name if I could remember it.
Carlos.
No, probably he goes, you can't make a cup of tea in a china mug. You're not a proper actor. You've got to have a paper cup. Anyway, the next day, Jeff Freeman and Jerry pulled me aside. You've got a proper little role now. They tripled my wages. So I went back to this bloody Thursday, make me a cup of tea, making a China mug. And weirdly, and he was a really arrogant little bugger, this one, and weirdly, about a month later, I was in Ealing and I went into Blockbusters to rent a video, and he was working behind the counter. I said, how's your film career going, mate? But yeah, so it was a great experience on that. And another little very quick story, if I can do it very quickly. Goldie was on set. Do you remember Goldie? Yeah. Goldie likes to smoke a little bit of the naughty stuff. Anyway, on 6 o'clock one day, I thought, oh, he's going, don't worry, sure, we're not going to be used. He said, let's have a little doobie. I said, oh, I'm going to do that. We go out the back, had a little puff on it, and I've gone. So Sean Cronin at A stage, I've gone, ah, shit! And I put my gun on back to front, put my jumper on inside out, run onto set. And I spent 11 days holding Denise Richards around the waist. She never said hello to me once, by the way.
There's a good picture of you there doing it.
11 days I think we were doing that, kept holding her around the waist. She never spoke for much, but I remember her hair smelled nice. But anyway, this day that he'd given me this bloody doobie, I've got to go back and grab Denise around the waist again. I've walked in, seen what I thought was Denise, and it wasn't, it was Sophie. So I've run in, grabbed her around the waist, and Mikey's gone, that's the wrong lady, mate. He said, where have you been, and why are your eyes so red? But it was a great experience working on that. And also, working with Pierce was amazing. Robbie Coltrane smoked all my cigarettes, additive. And he was playing backgammon on set a lot, Pierce, do you remember? And my late dad was a great, but he taught me how to play backgammon. I went up and asked Pierce, I said, give us a game. He said, backgammon. Anyway, about a week later, he said, come on. And we've had a game, and I beat him by 1 point. So I've beaten James Bond at backgammon.
There we go.
But, it was that got me into film, and I sort of did a few more sort of supporting roles, and I'm now played the lead villain in a lot of movies now. I actually cut Captain Hook's hand off yesterday in Jersey. And that was my 90th death yesterday. I ate a cannonball. That's big. So, and also, I've directed a lot. I've got my premiere of a crazy hillbilly vampire movie called Bogeyville, which is premiering in Leicester Square tomorrow to a sold-out audience. So, come a long way. So I had 30 years in the game. Not as long as in the game with these guys. I want to work with you actually about a job.
Well, I'll tell you what, the next Bond film could be Die Every Other Day.
Die Every Other Day. It's all these great people here as well. Thank you for inviting me.
No, it's our pleasure. What did Sophie make of you grabbing her by the waist?
She sort of went, she was all right about it. It was very, very funny.
So,
she was such a lovely lady.
Why did that take 11 days to shoot? Was you holding her wrong?
Because I kept doing it wrong.
Yeah, she kept getting the wrong person.
It was the 12 days of Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it was. But this it felt. It's like a Mission Impossible scene. I did 6 weeks. That was 6 weeks.
For you to do the mirror scene, yeah.
No, all that and all the drop being electrocuted and.
Did her hair smell different every day?
Her smell. No, I think it was Head and Shoulders for sure.
Oh, no.
Actually, but seriously though, it was when Michael acted with Vic, with people like Jeff Freeman, which we have obviously because we've been rushed because Moonraker's out all the time. There's definitely more stories. But
we've got time for stories. You've got a story.
Brilliant. The planning that went into that, and Michael understanding that he wasn't really an action director. And then with the storyboards that were so well done, and the way that Vic always operated, it was a great film to work on. And Jeff Freeman, the first film I worked on as Terry was the third assistant, I was his runner, and Jeff was the unit publicist on that Disney film. And what you've just said, Sean, about you treat everybody the same. Yeah. And that is so important. And and Shane listening to the ladies about their stories. And we are doing everything we can to stop that in the industry now. Yeah. But they're the real people that make it work. So always remember to be kind. Always remember
absolutely. Be nice.
Yeah. And that's what Pierce was always like that. And Daniel, all the Bonds that I'd. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now.
I tasted Daniel Craig through a train recently, so I've not actually kept the. I did a big Heineken Bond commercial.
Yeah, that's when Spectre was going to be released, wasn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, be nice. It's
definitely. So this is your moment of glory, Sean, when you're holding Denise Richards and you take her away.
James Bond.
God, I was young there, quite a lot of money.
If only you'd kept away, we might have met again in a few years and become lovers once more. Take it to Renard.
You should have done a shot of me getting my head smashed in.
No, that's coming up. I haven't forgotten. Trust me, this is the Sean Cronin hour. There we go. Right, so this is you. It's one of your fags you got off of Robbie Coltrane. You're smoking there, so you can't really see. It's a bit dark. He's walking up, yeah. So you walk up, and you've got to pretend you don't see him. You're just walking up, and all of a sudden, oh, there's Pierce. And there's a shot. Here's the clip. There's you walking up.
Where is she?
And obviously in a minute you get used to headbutt the door open. He uses you to break open the door. Was there any more to that part that didn't get on screen? Yeah. This is your head getting smashed in.
James!
I thought I'd forgotten you, eh?
He just chucks you down there. She could have just opened the door, to be fair, though, probably.
What's so amazing about that is because obviously you've got the tank, you've got the exterior of the sub, and they got this built, this literally a massive crate, wasn't it?
Yeah.
On hydraulics, and it's all moving about, and you know, just the work and the detail, and all the detail inside that crate, which was the interior of the submarine, even down to all the, writing, tiny writing in the Russian, and the detail, again, probably you guys that did it all, was it? Did you build that submarine?
We did the model.
And once again, Joe, but very limited CGI work in that. I think the only main thing is were the missiles as you go towards Millennium Dome, the missiles going under the water that were fired, they were CGI, and the helicopters, when she's up in the helicopter, they were CGI, but everything else.
When was that, 98, 97?
99.
99 was released, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, this vampire movie I've just done, we've got vampires, and it all looks super real. He's created entire environments that you couldn't do in those days. You did it for real. It was real. And now it's, and you talk about focal length and stuff, you can see a lot of it. Has anyone seen that new series, Those About to Die, the big Gladiator new thing?
The one on Amazon Prime.
And it's amazing, it looks amazing, but you've got stuff where they're using green screen up close, and you can see they haven't got the right depth of field. You can see it, what a lens does, and it's just, and there's nothing like doing it for real. Do it properly, do it for real. Obviously it's a lot more expensive and much harder, but it's the real thing.
And you had a great role there, because at the end you get to, get killed by James Bond or beaten up by James Bond. It doesn't get much better.
That was my first movie death. That was my very first movie death. I presume I died.
I mean, you probably was unconscious, then just went down with the sun.
Headache.
Yeah. But so Pierce was a great pleasure to work with.
Great pleasure.
Everyone said the same, really. That he's just a wonderful guy.
Really lovely to work with.
Yeah.
Very down to earth chap.
Did everybody like The World Is Not Enough?
Yeah.
Really good films.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, only.
Did everybody like The World Is Not Enough?
There we go. Right, so moving on. This is the sub, so this is the finale, and John obviously helped construct the submarine. We do the models. And you went to the Bahamas to shoot this.
Yep.
So can you tell us a little bit more about how you... Oh, Sean, can you just pass that to John, please? What was it?
Yeah.
There you go.
1, 2. Yep.
There we go.
Yeah, we had to build the sub in 3 parts to get it into containers to ship it out there, and we rented the boat that it's sitting on at the moment as a working platform, and we shot 120 feet down off the Bahamas, just off the Atlantic drop-off where it drops down about 3,000 feet. Wow. What we used to do was drop the sub in the water, hanging on wires from the boat, go down and do the shots. A lot of the shots, the sub had to sink nose down, so it was floating like that.
Yeah.
Which is why we had to go down to that depth. And then when we broke for lunch, we used to tether it off, hanging from the side of the boat, and put safeties on it. And we were all sitting up on the boat one day, lunchtime, and I said to the safety guys, you did put the safety ties on the boat, on the sub, didn't you? And they all looked at one another. And I rushed over to the side, and there was the sub sitting on the bottom, no wires attached, bouncing slowly towards the 3,000-foot drop-off. And you've never seen 5 guys get their kit on and get down so fast. I got down there first, I think, and was holding on to it. And the boys came down with ropes and tethered it off. But I thought, how am I going to ring Tony and Barbara and say, sorry, it's gone down 3,000 feet.
Luckily, you saved it. Spare one, John, could you put on the sub?
Yeah. No, that's the trouble with some of these models. It's a one-off, so. And blowing it apart, again, you're underwater, you've got cameras close to it, so you can't use real explosions. So we use compressed air and flashbulbs. And it looked all right.
Yeah, they come out fantastic on screen. I haven't got any footage of it, obviously, but we've run out of time. But
sorry, one other quick funny story about that was there used to be a lot of remora fish down where we were shooting, and they usually attach themselves to the bigger fish and follow them round to eat the parasites off them or whatever. And we had one remora that took a liking to our sub, and we could never get the bloody thing off every time we wanted to do a shot. So we had divers going backwards and forwards, chasing this one fish away every time.
Oh, fantastic.
That definitely made its way into the line. Terry got that.
We weren't allowed to hurt our fish.
No fish were hurt in the making of this.
Just to open out to the floor, have you got any quick questions? Anyone want to fire? Yep, go to Ian first.
Cheers. Yeah, at the end of the film, you see James Bond diving out the window and down to the sub before the scene where he comes to see you, Sean. So, how was that filmed? Did he, what sort of, was it like a free fall, and was there a screen underneath, or was he actually diving into the water? How was it filmed? Do you remember?
I can't remember.
I'm just trying to remember.
The tower, wasn't it? The tower.
Yeah, I don't remember.
From the tower, the bottomless tower.
He shoots a lecturer and he dives out the window.
Is it set up next door?
Which is the scene.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that.
Well, that was Charles.
Yeah.
It's done in 2 or 3 parts. Yeah. I remember Michael Apter talking about it. The tower's in the middle of the Bosphorus.
Yeah. Right.
And there's a lot done on the tank.
Yeah.
So had the sub in the tank.
So we've got 2 more questions, guys, and then we're
Yeah, sorry, we've not answered that.
No one knows.
Last time I was there.
Hi guys, thanks all for coming. So my question is, how often did Barbara and Michael come on set? When they did, was it everyone suddenly behaved themselves? Was it an exciting thing, or was it a bit fearful? What was that like when Michael and Barbara came to see you?
Exactly.
No, they came.
Totally the opposite.
Depending where they were, because we had units in several different countries, maybe 2 or 3 different countries at the same time. So they'd either come out and stay with us for a week or 2, and then go back to the first unit or the second unit or whatever. Or if you're in the studios, they'd come on every day.
From what I remember, Barbara ever came onto the set, she caused more distraction,
Yeah.
chaos than if she wasn't there.
Oh, terrific. And we've got one final question.
So the beginning of the film, it's set in Bilbao, and there's the cigar girl gives him a cigar. On an earlier draft of the script, it's set in Cuba, which makes the cigar girl logical, and then he brings the money back and everything. Was there a thought of why changing the script from being from Havana to Bilbao?
Not that I remember.
I think again, the Michael Apter video, when he talks about the film, he said he'd like the, what's it called?
The Guggenheim Museum.
Yeah.
He fell in love with that.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the reason he went there.
The Guggenheim.
Was there a search made for the different directors? Because was Apted always in line, or was it? Did you go out and try and?
There was a few months earlier. There was many directors' names came up. As always, it was.
It's obviously studio and Eon agreeing on a director. They both want to do it.
Have to remember the beginning. Yes, I mean what I remember, we must have gone through about 8 different directors that were presented to the studios. Who would do it as well? Because others turned it down.
Right, so I think that's it, gentlemen. So thank you very much.